The sapphire caught the last rays of sunset, brilliant against her throat. My grandmother's sapphire. I froze in the doorway of my own dining room, champagne flute trembling in my hand as I watched her lean into my husband, her fingers trailing across the necklace like she owned it. Like she owned him. Marcus designed this whole development around sustainable materials. She was saying to the circle of investors, her voice honeyed and confident. It's really quite visionary. I designed those sustainable systems. I'd spent 3 years perfecting the water reclamation concept that made Marcus's latest project possible. But Sienna Chase stood there in my home, wearing my dead grandmother's necklace, taking credit for my work while my husband smiled down at her like she'd hung the moon. The room blurred slightly. I blinked, refocused. 60 people filled the open-concept living space I'd spent 2 years designing, the floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Pacific like a living painting. This was supposed to be a celebration. Marcus's biggest development project breaking ground. Our architectural firm landing the design contract. Success, partnership, the life we'd built together over 12 years of marriage. But all I could see was that necklace. The one Marcus swore he'd lost 6 months ago when I'd asked to wear it to my mother's birthday dinner. "I'm so sorry, Elena," he'd said, looking genuinely distressed. "I tore the house apart. I think it might have fallen out of my gym bag somewhere." "I'll keep looking." He'd looked. Apparently, he'd looked right into Sienna Chase's jewelry box. Elena, Marcus's business partner, David Chen, appeared at my elbow. "There you are. I was just telling my wife about the green roof system you developed. Brilliant work." I pulled my attention back, smiled. "Thank you, David. The living roof reduces heat absorption by almost 40%. It's the future," Sienna cut in, materializing beside us with Marcus in tow. Up close, the necklace was even more unmistakable. 3 sapphires, each the size of a robin's egg, set in platinum filigree my great-grandfather had commissioned in 1947. I'd memorized every curve of that metalwork as a child, sitting in my grandmother's lap while she told me stories about her wedding day. "Sienna's been instrumental in the interior design," Marcus said, his hand resting on the small of her back. "Professional. Casual. Except I'd seen that exact gesture 1,000 times, felt that same touch guide me through a room. She has an incredible eye. Well, I had wonderful inspiration." Sienna's smile was all teeth as her gaze swept our home. "This house is absolutely stunning, Elena. You must tell me, did you design it yourself?" "Every room," I heard myself say. "I knew exactly what I wanted." "How wonderful." Her fingers rose to the necklace, stroking the center sapphire. "I wish I had your certainty. I'm still figuring out what I want." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Or maybe that was just me, going cold from the inside out as I watched her touch my grandmother's necklace with such casual possession. "That's a beautiful piece," I said softly. "Family heirloom?" Marcus went completely still beside her. Sienna's smile widened. "A gift? From someone who knows quality when he sees it. How lovely." I took a sip of champagne, letting the bubbles burn down my throat. My grandmother had a necklace just like that. 3 sapphires, platinum filigree. She wore it on her wedding day in 1947. "What a coincidence," Sienna murmured. "This one's from 1947 too. The jeweler who appraised it said it was one of a kind." I met Marcus's eyes over the rim of my glass. He looked like he might be sick. "Elena, can we talk?" He reached for my elbow. "Kitchen?" "Of course." I let him guide me through the crowd, smiling and nodding at guests as we passed. My mind was already 3 steps ahead, calculating, planning. 7 months ago, Marcus had started working late. 8 months ago, we'd had that big fight about expanding my architectural firm instead of focusing on his developments. 9 months ago, he'd suggested I might want to take a step back from work now that our son was in college and our daughter was old enough to be more independent. The kitchen was empty, all the caterers circulating with appetizers. Marcus closed the door and leaned against it, running both hands through his hair. "Elena, I can explain, can you?" I kept my voice level. "Because I'm very curious how you're going to explain giving my grandmother's necklace to your interior designer. It's not what you think, really." "What do I think, Marcus?" He opened his mouth. Closed it. Tried again. "She needed something to wear tonight. You know how important first impressions are with these investors. I just wanted her to look professional. So you gave her my family heirloom." The one you swore you'd lost. The one that's been in my family for 4 generations. I set my champagne glass down very carefully on the granite counter. Does she know that it's mine? Silence. She knows, I said. Of course she knows. She stroked it right in front of me and talked about someone who knows quality. That wasn't about the necklace. Was it? Elena. How long? He went pale. What? How long have you been sleeping with her? I watched him calculate whether to lie. Watched him realize I already knew. Watched him decide on a different approach. 7 years, he said finally. But Elena, it doesn't mean anything. You're my wife. You're the mother of my children. She understands the business side of things in a way that, get out. What? Get out of this kitchen, go back to your party, smile at your investors, let your mistress wear my jewelry. But Marcus? I stepped closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. I want that necklace back before the night is over. And then we're going to have a very different conversation. Elena, please, get out. He left. I stood alone in my kitchen, the kitchen I'd designed with soft close drawers and a breakfast nook that caught the morning sun, and forced myself to breathe. 7 years. Our daughter had been 9 when it started. All those late nights, those weekend site visits, those conferences in San Diego and Vegas and Phoenix, how many of those had been real? My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah Nakamura, my best friend since college and, more relevantly, one of the best divorce attorneys in California. Girl, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm in the living room if you need an escape. I'd forgotten Sarah was here. Marcus had insisted on inviting her and her husband. Good for networking, he'd said. Now I wondered if he'd been terrified she'd notice something was wrong. I texted back, can you meet me in my office upstairs? 5 minutes. Emergency. The response was immediate, coming now. I slipped out of the kitchen through the side door, took the back staircase to the 2nd floor. My office occupied the west corner, windows overlooking the ocean. I'd built in a window seat there, a place to sit and think and draw while watching the waves. Now I closed the door behind me, locked it, and went straight to my desk. Marcus's home office was next door. We'd each designed our own workspace when we built this house 5 years ago. I'd put in skylights and open shelving and a drafting table. He'd wanted dark wood paneling, a massive desk, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Very traditional. Very masculine. Very much designed to impress. Very much designed to hide things. A soft knock. Elena? It's me. I unlocked the door. Sarah slipped inside, took one look at my face and closed the door behind her. What happened? Marcus is having an affair. I'm going to need more than that, so I told her. The necklace. The 7 years. The lies. Sarah listened without interrupting, her expression growing harder with each detail. That son of a bitch, she said when I finished. That absolute son of a bitch. Elena, I'm so sorry. I need to know what he's hiding. What do you mean? He told me to take a step back from work. He's been pushing for me to reduce my partnership in the firm. Last month he suggested we refinance the house even though we don't need to. Sarah, he's planning something. Understanding dawned in her eyes. You think he's hiding assets? I think he's been planning to leave me. I think he wants to make sure he takes as much as possible when he goes. I opened my desk drawer, pulled out a key. This is the master key to every room in this house. I designed the security system. I know every lock, every access point. And I'm going to find out what he's been planning. Sarah grabbed my wrist. Elena, I'm your friend but I'm also a lawyer. If you're going to do this, do it smart. Photograph everything. Don't remove anything. Keep detailed records of what you find and where you found it. And for God's sake, don't let him know you're looking. Will you help me? You're damn right I will. But first, are you sure you want to do this right now? There are 60 people downstairs. That's exactly why I need to do it now. He's distracted. He thinks I'm crying in the kitchen or hiding in here. He won't check his office. I stood up, pocketed the key. Are you in? Sarah pulled out her phone. Document everything. I'm setting up a secure cloud folder. Send me every photo immediately. If he finds your phone and deletes them, we'll still have copies. We moved like a team. Sarah kept watch while I unlocked Marcus's office door, slipped inside. The room smelled like his cologne, leather and cedar. His desk was perfectly organized, everything in its place. But I knew my husband. I knew how he thought. The filing cabinet yielded nothing interesting. Tax returns, property deeds, mortgage documents, all legitimate. The desk drawers held pens, business cards, a flask of bourbon I'd given him for our 10th anniversary. Then I found his laptop bag behind the bookshelf. My hands shook as I unzipped it. His laptop was inside, sleeping but not locked. Marcus always forgot to lock it. I pressed the spacebar and the screen lit up. No password required. "Sarah," I whispered. "I'm in." She appeared in the doorway. "What are we looking for?" "I don't know. But I'll know it when I see it." I started with his email. The first folder I opened was labeled SC Project. I'd assumed it was a client. Sierra Commercial, maybe, or Sunset Canyon, one of his developments. It wasn't. SC stood for Sienna Chase. There were hundreds of emails. I scrolled through them, my stomach turning with each one. Love letters, yes, but also something worse. Business planning. Financial projections. Documents about properties I'd never heard of, accounts I didn't know existed. "Oh my God," Sarah breathed, reading over my shoulder. "Elena, he's been transferring assets. Shell companies. That's what they were." Marcus had set up 3 different LLCs, all with innocent-sounding names. Pacific Ventures, Coastal Holdings, Summit Properties. And he'd been slowly, methodically transferring money from our joint accounts into these companies. Then from the companies into accounts in his name only. "How much?" I asked. Sarah was already pulling up spreadsheets. "Jesus. Elena, this is at least $2 million. I couldn't breathe. $2 million? From what I can see here, yes. And look at this," she pointed to a document dated 3 weeks ago. "He filed preliminary divorce papers. Elena, he was going to serve you next month." The words swam in front of my eyes. I forced myself to focus, to read. Marcus's filing painted me as an unstable, possibly unfaithful wife who had abandoned the marital home and was pursuing outside interests at the expense of the family. He was requesting full custody of our daughter, the house, and the majority of assets based on his primary earner status. It was all lies. Every word. "Keep photographing," Sarah said grimly. "Every document. Every email. Every bank statement. This is fraud, Elena. This is going to bury him in court." We worked for 20 minutes, photographing everything. The shell companies, the hidden accounts, the lease for an apartment in Sienna's name, paid for with our money, the preliminary divorce filing. Life insurance policies Marcus had taken out on me in the last year, large policies, far more than we needed. That last one made my blood run cold. "Sarah," I whispered, showing her the insurance documents. "Why would he need $2 million in life insurance on me?" Her face went white. "We're done here. We're taking this to the police in my office first thing Monday morning. Elena, this is beyond divorce. This is..." A sound in the hallway. Footsteps. We froze. The steps paused outside the office door, then kept walking. I exhaled. "We need to get out of here." Sarah was already uploading the last photos to the cloud. "Done. I've got everything. Let's go." We locked the office behind us, slipped back to my office. I could hear voices from downstairs, laughter, the clink of glasses. The party was still going. Marcus was still schmoozing. Sienna was still wearing my necklace. "What are you going to do?" Sarah asked. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Sarah had stood beside me at my wedding. She'd held my hand through 2 difficult pregnancies. She'd celebrated every professional success, commiserated over every setback. She was more than my attorney. She was my sister in all but blood. "I'm going to get my necklace back," I said. "And then I'm going to end this. Tonight. Elena. I'm not going to do anything illegal. Or violent. Or stupid." I managed to smile. "But I am done being the woman who doesn't know. I'm done being the fool. And I am absolutely done letting her wear my grandmother's necklace." Sarah studied me for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Okay. But I'm staying close. Just in case." We went downstairs together. The party was winding down, some guests already heading for the door. I spotted Marcus near the windows, still surrounded by investors. Sienna was at his side, laughing at something someone said. I walked straight toward them, The room seemed to part in front of me. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe people could sense the shift in the air, the way you can sense a storm coming before the first drop of rain. Sienna, I said pleasantly. Could I speak with you for a moment? She turned that same confident smile on her face. Of course. That necklace. I gestured to it. It's absolutely stunning. Would you mind if I looked at it more closely? I'm fascinated by the craftsmanship. Something flickered in her eyes. Uncertainty? Fear. But she couldn't refuse, not with a dozen people watching, not without seeming rude. Oh, sure. She started to reach for the clasp. No need to take it off, I said. I just want to see the detail work. I stepped close enough to smell her perfume. Something expensive and floral. I'd smelled it before, I realized. On Marcus's clothes. In our car. In our bed. I pretended to examine the necklace, tilting it slightly to catch the light. Remarkable. You know, my grandmother had a necklace exactly like this. 3 sapphires, platinum filigree, commissioned in 1947. She wore it on her wedding day. Yes, you mentioned that earlier. I did, didn't I? I let the necklace drop back against her chest. The thing is, Sienna, my grandmother's necklace wasn't just similar to this one. It was this one. Because there's a tiny inscription on the back of the center sapphire. A jeweler's mark. My great-grandfather had it put there. I turned the sapphire over. And there it was, exactly where I knew it would be. 3 tiny letters, RMC. Robert Michael Chen, the jeweler who'd created it. I can explain, Sienna started. Can you? Because I'd love to hear how you ended up with my family heirloom. The one my husband claimed he'd lost. The one that's been in my family for 4 generations. I raised my voice slightly. Not shouting, just loud enough for the nearby conversations to pause. Marcus, honey, could you come here for a moment? He approached slowly, his face carefully blank. But I could see the panic in his eyes. Marcus. Sienna has my grandmother's necklace. The one you said you'd lost. Can you explain how that happened? The room had gone quiet now. Everyone was watching. Elena, we should discuss this privately. I don't think so. Because this isn't just about the necklace, is it? It's about the 7-year affair. The hidden assets. The shell companies. The apartment you're paying for in Sienna's name. The divorce papers you filed without telling me. The life insurance policies. I turned to address the room. I apologize, everyone. It seems we have more than just a thief at this party. We have embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. Marcus grabbed my arm. Elena, stop. You don't know what you're talking about. I pulled free. Don't I? I've seen your emails, Marcus. I've seen the bank statements. I've seen every document in your SC project folder. And I've already shared them with my attorney. I nodded to Sarah, who raised her phone slightly. Everything's been uploaded to a secure server. You can't delete it. You can't hide it. It's over. Sienna had gone white. Marcus, you said. Shut up, he hissed at her. No, please continue, I said. What did he say, Sienna? That he'd leave me as soon as the development project was funded. That you two would run off together with the money? Did he mention the life insurance policies? Or was that going to be a surprise? That's insane. Marcus was sweating now. I would never. $2 million in life insurance, Marcus. Taken out in the last 6 months. Why would you need that much coverage on me unless you were planning something? I turned back to the crowd. I want everyone here to understand. I'm not making wild accusations. I have evidence. Bank statements. Emails. Documents showing systematic fraud and asset hiding. And yes, preliminary divorce papers filed in secret, claiming I was an unfit mother and unfaithful wife. I laughed, sharp and bitter, all lies. Every single word. David Chen stepped forward. Marcus, is this true? Marcus looked around at the crowd. At the investors he'd been schmoozing all night. At his business partners. At the life he'd built on lies and charm and my work. You vindictive bitch, he said softly. You're going to ruin everything. No, I said. You already did that. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth. I turned to Sienna. The necklace. Take it off. Now. Marcus. Take it off, Sienna, Sarah said, stepping forward. Or I'll have security remove it for you. That necklace is stolen property. Sienna's hands shook as she fumbled with the clasp. Finally, she got it open. The necklace slipped into my waiting palm, the sapphires cool and familiar against my skin. Thank you, I said. You can leave now. Both of you, this is my house. Marcus shouted. No, I said quietly. This is the house I designed. With the money I earned. Before you started stealing our assets. And as of Monday morning when my attorney files emergency motions, you're going to find yourself locked out of a lot more than just this house. I turned to David Chen. David, I apologize for disrupting your evening. But you should know that the sustainable designs Marcus has been crediting to Sienna. I developed those systems. I have the original drafts time-stamped and saved. You might want to review your contracts carefully. I suspect you'll find my husband has been misrepresenting intellectual property. David's expression was ice. We'll be in touch, Marcus. With our lawyers, people were already moving toward the door. Some threw sympathetic looks my way. Others avoided eye contact entirely. Within 10 minutes, the house was empty except for me, Sarah, Marcus, and Sienna. I'll destroy you for this, Marcus said. You'll try, I agreed. But here's the thing, Marcus. You forgot that I'm smarter than you. I'm better at my job than you ever were at yours. And I documented everything. Every conversation. Every financial transaction. Every lie. I held up my grandmother's necklace. You tried to steal my life. But you can't steal what you can't build. And you never could build anything without me. I walked to the door, opened it. Get out. Both of you. They left. Marcus was still sputtering threats. Sienna was crying. I didn't care. When the door closed behind them, I locked it. Then I locked the back door. The side door. The garage. I went through the house systematically, securing every entrance. Sarah watched me work. What are you going to do now? Now? I fastened my grandmother's necklace around my own throat, feeling the weight of it settle against my skin. Now I'm going to call my children. I'm going to tell them the truth. And tomorrow, we're going to start rebuilding. They're going to be okay, you know. Kids are resilient. I know. Emma's 16. She's already suspicious of Marcus anyway. And Daniel's 19, in college. He'll understand. I managed a real smile. They're good kids. They got that from me. Sarah hugged me hard. You did the right thing. I know. It doesn't feel good yet. But I know. She left around midnight. I sat in my window seat, watching the moon rise over the Pacific, and let myself cry. Not for Marcus. Not for our marriage. That had been dead for 7 years. I just hadn't known it. I cried for the woman I'd been. The one who'd trusted him. The one who'd believed in partnership and loyalty and shared dreams. That woman was gone now, replaced by someone harder. Someone who'd had to become harder to survive. But maybe that was okay. Maybe that was even better. Monday morning came bright and clear. Sarah met me at her office at 8. By 9, we'd filed emergency motions for custody of Emma, exclusive use of the marital home, and freezing of all assets. By 10, Marcus's shell companies were under investigation. By 11, the life insurance policies were flagged for fraud review. By noon, I was sitting in a conference room with 3 of Marcus's business partners, showing them my original designs for the sustainable systems he'd claimed as his own. By 2, they'd offered me his position in the development company. I took it. The divorce took 6 months. Marcus fought every step, but the evidence was overwhelming. The court gave me primary custody of Emma, the house, and 60% of our assets. Marcus was ordered to pay my legal fees and faced criminal charges for the fraud. Sienna left him 2 months in, when she realized there was no money left to steal. Emma decided to study architecture. She said she wanted to be like me, strong, creative, someone who built things that lasted. Daniel came home every weekend that first semester, just to check on us. He stopped calling Marcus Dad and started calling him Marcus. I didn't tell him to do that. He chose it himself. A year later, I won an architectural award for a community housing project I'd designed. The prize included a feature in Architecture Digest. They photographed me in my home office, the ocean behind me, wearing my grandmother's necklace. The article talked about my innovative sustainable designs, my commitment to affordable housing, my vision for the future. It didn't mention Marcus at all. And you know what? That felt right. That felt like justice. Not because I'd destroyed him, though he'd done a pretty good job of that himself. But because I'd moved forward. I'd built a new life. I'd shown my children that betrayal doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning of a better one. Sometimes people ask me if I regret confronting them that night. If I wish I'd handled it differently, more privately, with less drama. I tell them no. Because that moment, standing in my home with my grandmother's necklace finally back where it belonged, surrounded by witnesses who saw the truth, that moment gave me my power back. You can't steal what you can't build. And Marcus never could build anything without me. But I built a whole new life. And this time, I built it just for me. The sapphires catch the light sometimes, when I'm working at my drafting table. 3 stones, each perfect, each brilliant, each representing a generation of strong women who knew their worth. I'm the 4th generation now. And someday, I'll pass this necklace to Emma. I'll tell her the story of how it was taken from me, and how I took it back. I'll tell her that your inheritance isn't just jewelry or money or property. Your inheritance is knowing you're strong enough to fight for what's yours, brave enough to face the truth, and powerful enough to start over when everything falls apart. That's what my grandmother gave me. That's what I'll give my daughter. And no one, not Marcus, not Sienna, not anyone can ever steal that away.